Them boy be spitting, and them boy be, and then if you listen to the song for real, them boy dropping some jewels in there on the low. I think the Clips might know a little something. These knockers some Virginians. And I know some of y'all like, what you mean? Of course they Virginians. No, I said Virginie, my nigga. These knockers is pure blooded Virginians, my nigga. I see it's acting up. Y'all hit me up in the chat. Let me know what the sound coming through clear and everything. I see my screen freezing up a little bit. You know, it's doing what it do. But we gonna be patient, and we're gonna let the internet work its kicks out. We ain't gonna just run like we scared or nothing, cause they want to try to hijack the stream. But I'm like, these knockers do look like some Virginians, and I know some people like, dang, what you mean, Black Jack? Y'all know what I mean when I look at the past, man. I know what a Virginia is. I know what a Virginia is, a real Virginia. And I'm like, yup, them knockers look just like a Virginia, my nigga. Salute. I'm like, that's a start. That's a stark resemblance right there. These two, Pusha T and Malice, and this right here, yeah, that's the same thing. That's a Virginia. That boy, he said he in that old Virginia. And I'm going to show y'all what I mean. Don't worry, we're going to get to it. Salute. We're going to get to it. But we're going to go back to this thumbnail before we move on. We're looking at this thumbnail, Independence Day. They independence is your captivity. They Independence Day is your captivity. Salute. You got to understand what we mean. What is Independence Day? We're going to talk about it. What is Independence Day? We gonna talk about it. They say Independence Day is the day that America became free. And I'm be like, free from who? We was already free. I'm like, hold up, this ain't making sense. I'm like, this ain't the day my people got free. Independence Day wasn't the day my people got free. Salute. So we gonna talk about what they talking about here. Because a lot of people don't know what history all about. They think they know history, but all they know is fairy tales and lies that they've been brainwashed and taught to lie about it or ignore it. But to the real knockers in the house, you looking dead at it and you know what it is. It's an American Indian, a.k.a. the American Negro. Salute. That's what we looking at. On there, he walking with his war club, and he got the staff in his other hand. And you can think what you want about this. Yes, that's an American Indian. You can think what you want to think about what you're seeing here, but the truth is the truth. And you can't ignore the truth. Hold on, I didn't mean to switch back to the Virginia. Let me go back to the other Virginia in the intro. On the thumbnail, you can ignore the truth all you want to. You can lie to yourself, whoever you are. Whether you a Negro, whether you an immigrant, or a teller, whatever you can lie to yourself. If you think you a Native American, the fake $5 Indians, you can lie to yourself all you want to. All we gotta do though is pull up history, and the pictures show our ancestors, not yours. Salute. Those are our ancestors. Salute. See, the math up with us. The history line up with us, not them. Not the fake Native Americans, the fake Dawes Road Indians. It don't line up with them. It lines up with the American Negro. The American Indian history lines up with the American Negro, and it's very easy and clearly to see. It's very clearly and easy to see it. But we're gonna talk about it because we was rocking with the Clips, the Virginians. Them boys do look like Virginians. Cause boy, when you pull up, hold on, where that one at? Hold on, let me see if I can pull that one up real quick. That see, them boys do look like Virginians. They go one right. I ain't being funny either. I know y'all be thinking I'll be trying to be funny. But They do look like this. They do look just like that. For salute, them boys look just like that for real. And right here, it say these signs were usually Indian. Indian, and they look just like that. They look just like that statue. And that boy said he a Virginia. Several others of the Virginia. You can't tell me that might be Malice's great granddaddy right there. That boy look just like Malice. He look just like. You can't tell me they don't look like this nigga right here. That look just like this nigga. He just got a haircut right now. He just got a haircut right now. Right there. The Virginians. So when we see Virginian, but what does it really mean? What does it really mean? Well, if you know history, Virginia, they called our land that. First off, the European colonizers came here and they said this was virgin land. That's what they called it. So they called you Virginians or Virginies because you were the people from the virgin land. Salute. You got to understand what they mean. You got to understand history and what they're talking about. They called you a Virginie. They said you was from virgin land. You had the tobacco. They knew nothing about it. You taught them about it. Yeah, they lagging and freezing up the stream, and I'm just take my time. I ain't gonna be in a rush. But right here, it say yes. The name Virginia does evoke the idea of virgin land. Christopher Columbus and the Europeans, the British in particular. See, right now we talking about out of the Europeans, we talking about England. We talking about the British. We talking about the crown and stuff. Now look. Yes, the name Virginia does evoke the idea of Virginia land and was likely chosen with that in mind. Virgin land. So they called you a Virginia because you was from virgin land. You the Indian. They called you a Virginian, a Virginie. They said you were from the virgin land. India Superior, which they said was America, right? Now, so when you understand Virginia, the virgin land, and when they're speaking to you and calling you a black boy or Virginia, they basically saying you from Virginia, you from the virgin land. That's what they saying. You from America, you American. We just need to point that out. Because we got to understand who we talking about here. The Virginia colony was the first permanent English settlement in North America, established in 1607 at Jamestown in Virginia. Now keep that in mind. Hey, salute the legend of Naga Charlie in the house. Salute. Keep this in mind that the Virginia colony was about the first permanent English settlement, and keeping in mind that it was in 16017. Why 16017 is important? Because it's a lot of history surrounded by the early 1600 date. You know what they say about you. Hey, and before we move on, matter of fact, while we saluting the supporters, I got to give a big shout out to the big homie Timothy Anderson. Salute for the $40 cash out. He sponsored the show. He always supporting big time. Much love, big brother. He always supporting big time, and I appreciate a person that appreciate what we're doing. Salute. So salute to Tim. Salute. I hope you're watching right now. So we understand the Virginia colony, the Virginians. They talking about our ancestors. They talking about you. They talking about the Pusha T looking Nagas. The first permit in 1607. Now that see, it's the British we talking about here. It's the first permanent English. When we talk about the English, we talking about Great Britain. We talking about the British. This is important. I need y'all to stay with me and understand where we going with this. This is all about our ancestors. This is all about you, your bloodline. It's all about the tethers and the immigrants too. But I need y'all to pay attention. The Virginia colony is the first British colony in North America. Established in 1607. Now that's important because they say the British first got here in 1607. And then they turn around and claim they brought a bunch of us here in 16. They say they brought 20 odd Negroes in 1619. That's what they tell you. This how they. This when they always go back to your why it's trying to explain your presence in America. They always go back to 1619. They say the first 20 odd Negroes, 1619. Now you got to think. 12 years after they first got sight of Virginia in 1607, but it's so also contradicted because it's contradicted and proven to be a lie only for not only for that reason, for them just getting here in 1607 and claiming they brought you here in 1619, 12 years later. That sounds very stupid. The truth is that you were here since the beginning of time, and that is evidence of your presence here before 1619. This is where they messed up at. They lied and said to explain the presence of the Negro in America, we brought him here in 1619. That is a bald-faced lie. And it's easily proven because the presence of the Negro was shown here in America in 1617. It was depicted in Britain, in England, in Europe. They depicted the Indian, Negro, black boy, tobacco Indian on the first known cigar store Indian. They depicted it in England in 1617. So why would you believe they brought you here in 1619? If they depicting you as an Indian in 1617, the first known tobacco Indian, the only thing remain of it is a drawing or engraving, and here we looking at it. In 1617, they showing the Indian smoking the tobacco store Indian, the first known cigar store Indian. In 1617, why would you believe they brought you here in 1619? If the Indians was Negroes in 1617 and before that. And they got here in 1607. So 10 years after they first arrived in Virginia, and they got some tobacco from the Indians, and took some Indians and some tobacco back to Britain and England and Europe with them. They got the wood ship carvers, the carver Indian. He carved the tobacco Indian to show the ignorant people that couldn't read where to get the tobacco from. Put it in the shop window. And it showed it was the Negro, the very first one, the first known one. And the articles talk about it, this right here, trendy tobacco. This just one spot you can find it. It's all about tobacco smoking in ancient times. When you'll find out of the smoking gauge or the life and death of tobacco. This is from a book by a gentleman named Richard Braithwaite, something like that. How you pronounce his name? But he talks about it, the first tobacco shop in Britain and England, and they got the Negro Indian in the window with the tobacco, and they got all the white colonizers right here smoking their tobacco and stuff. And I need to translate what they're saying right here. I need to translate this stuff that they got down here. I need to just go on and translate it. But they smoking the tobacco that they got from the Negroes in America, the Indians. And they advertised in the shop like they advertised their prescription drugs that you see on these shelves up here. And you even see up here, it say Nicotania, and they got the Indians. And we know this got whitewashed. We know what happened. We know they whitewashed it. Let me go to my page if it stops slowing me down. Like I said, I'm just taking my time, man. I ain't celebrating no Independence Day. They independence is our captivity. They out there popping fireworks outside my house right now. I don't give a damn about that kind of stuff. I ain't celebrating. I ain't shucking and driving around the barbecue grill with nobody. I ain't participating in demonic activities that celebrate our demise. We know they whitewashed the image. They had to whitewash it. They didn't want you to know the Indian was you. But even though they whitewashed this, they couldn't whitewash all these tobacco statues that's the real deal, this is what they even depicting. This is what they showing you right here what this was. They got several different versions of this same thing that they depicted in 17 and 1617. Yeah, well before 16. Hey, Legend Nagachar in the house, Nagatalk 6 in the house. They showed you in 1617 talking about 20 odd Negroes in 1619. Yeah, they hadn't made it back to England in 1617 and made an image of your ass out of wood and put it in the window to show these dumb MFs where to get tobacco from. And some of these still survive. They're the very same, holding the roll and got the pipe in the other hand smoking. Holding the roll, got the pipe in the other hand smoking. Holding the roll, got the pipe smoking. Holding the roll, got the pipe smoking. How many do you need? And there's some that exist where they done broke the pipe off his hand. Don't exist. The real Indian is the Negro. The nappy head ass Negro. You never was African. Early as 1617 in Britain, England, they started making these hijacks to the 1850s in America. Dumbo family in the house, salute. Notice they started hijacking our ancestors' images and they started making these in America 233 years later. 1617, they were showing the Indians in Europe like this. 233 years later, the tobacco shops, cigars and wooden statues used advertisements first appeared in America in the 1850s, But 15 years before they talking about the so-called end of slavery, they remixed the shop. They said, hold up. You can't put, we about to let these knockers loose from slavery in 1865. You can't depict the tobacco shop Indians in America like this. We done told them they from Africa. We done brainwashed them. Told them a Kunti Kinte story. You cannot show these England tobacco statue Indians from the 1600s. They ancestors. We need to remix this. The new ones in America, one thing you gotta do, make them white. White kind of Asian looking, like a Eurasian. You make them look like a Eurasian because we're going to bring the Kung Fu Indians from Asia over here and we're going to say that they came in the late 1800s. We're going to say these are Indians. Especially so we got to 1865. We're finna free these these niggas, the African American blacks. So you need to make a remix Indian. So you know it's several examples of them hijacking our image, our ancestors' image, whitewashing it and stealing it. Several examples. Look, they ain't even see. I gotta translate what this writing is of these guys in this shop, cause see, they left it out, the whitewashing. I wonder what they were saying. Hey, Ice Beyond in the house, salute. Ice Beyond in the house, salute. You gotta wonder what they were saying. They must have was saying some nigglet type of stuff, cause for them to leave it out on this one and the whitewash it. And look, they took the time to whitewash the nigglets in the nicotine too. Even if this your first time learning about this, you ought to be rejecting that out of Africa stuff that they told you. The real versus the fake. What are they saying here? I'm just wondering what the hell I got translate. I want to. Ain't y'all curious? Hit me in the chat. I gotta get it. I gotta take. I ain't gonna do it right now, but I'm gonna take time and translate these words. I can't hardly see them right here. I gotta blow them up on something later, and I'm gonna translate them. I see pipe right there. What it say? Niglet with the pipe. See, they left it out on the remix. They got them holding the roll and smoking. They got that they got that white Indian, the $5 red man, Dog's Roll Indian of today. That's him. That's him right there. That him right there. The other one is this nigga. You know what I'm saying? It's this nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Négret.
Et l'Amérique négrée. Au bout sauvage.
Darkness,
Au milieu
everybody!
l'Amérique.
Darkness is great!
Zippity-doo-dah days.
That's you can click and then all right. This something else I'm finna show y'all before we move on. We talking about these Virginians, man. Look now, even look how he dressed. Look how he dressed. Like, see, you can see it right here. You can see it. You can see how they remixed it. Now let me show you something. Let me go on and upload it right now. This finna trip y'all out. That's why I love when they try to remix and then lie, cause they tell on themselves every time with their lies. They make mistakes, and then you can point, if you know what's going on, you can point them out. You can point them out for real. Let me show y'all this, man. Let me upload it right now on my community post so I have access to it here. All right, let me post it. Boom. All right, now look, I just posted it, so let me do this. No, let me leave this up. Let me do this. Let me just make another one. So we can compare. I'm finna show y'all what I mean. This junk. See, I be paying attention, man. I'm slow and methodical type of person. I cherish time. I got time. Look how he dressed. So, ain't he dressed the same damn way? Except the only thing different, he got on a turban instead of his feather crown. This Indian got a turban on. He just a different tribe. He just tribing up in a different mountain. That's just a different tribe. He got a turban, but look how he dressed. Ain't that the same? He dressed the same way as this one. Even when you look at the remix hijack one, you can clearly see he dressed the same way. North America. North America. It's not Africans. This is Indians. You gotta be brainwashed if you believe you are African American. If you believe you are African, man, I'm just saying. And if you a red man and you believe you a Native American,
Sit your $5 ass down before I make
you been
change.
brainwashed. All you fake white Indians and you mix Asian looking people thinking y'all Cherokees and shit, you been brainwashed. I know it's embarrassing. You got fooled by your own history, just like we did. You ain't no Virginian. You ain't no Virginian. Fake Indian. Fake Indian. Look, one of the earliest known cigar store Indians date back 1617. It dates back to 1617. Shopkeepers used carved figures of Native Americans called Virginie men. Virginie men. 1617. That's what this is. That's what that is right there. 1617, the first one, the earliest. The smoking age or the life and death of tobacco. 1617, the earliest. The earliest known cigar store Indian, 1617. Illustrations from Anthony Chute's Tobacco 1595, but that's the first one. The second one is on Richard Braithwaite's The Smoking Age 1617. The Smoking Age 1617. The Smoking Age, or The Life and Death of Tobacco. This is it. 1617. This is the first tobacco Indian. Salute. This is the first one. This, The Smoking Age, the Virginia. They Independence Day is your captivity. You ain't get here in 1619. They got here in 1607 and found you here. They called you a Virginia because you was from the Virgin Land of America. They called your land the Virgin Land. Yes, the name Virginia does evoke the idea of Virgin Land. They first got here in 1617. They didn't bring you in here in 1619. They found you here, and they was getting tobacco from you. And in 1617, they went back to Europe, and they made the earliest known tobacco store Indian to sell the tobacco that they got from you in 1617. And that's it. This is it. The Smoking Age. And we know it's you. We know it's you niggas. We done did the research that your college professors, that your high school teachers, that your Department of Education been withholding from you. We gave it to you. And we dug and found it ourselves. We know exactly who the Virginia is. And it ain't this guy.
Trevor.
Man, their independence is your captivity, man. Y'all better understand, man.
Lost in the mental. I miss you, shampoo. We miss you, shampoo.
Man, I be looking at these photos of the Nagas from Virginia, man. Our ancestors, these old photos. Portraits tell stories of black Virginians. The real Virginians, the real Virginians. Early 20th century. Let's listen what they got to say.
A remarkable collection of portraits is on display at the University of Virginia and will soon begin a tour of schools, churches, and community centers around the state. It shows about 100 African Americans who lived in Central Virginia at the turn of the 20th century. Sandy Hausman had a look and filed this report.
Historians called it part of the Jim Crow
one
era,
general in the
but
house,
as the
salute.
1800s ended and the 20th century dawned, African Americans referred to the era of the new Negro. Jazz, ragtime, and blues were popular. People of color were voting, serving in government, and posing for portraits. In Charlottesville, the Halsinger Studio was the place to go, according to UVA history professor John Edwin Mason.
It employed roughly 25 people. There were photographers, there were retouch artists, there were darkroom technicians, there were retail clerks, there were bookkeepers. It was an enterprise.
And the studio kept careful records of its customers so that today a team of historians and students could search old newspapers, census records, birth, death, and marriage certificates to discover the stories of more than 600 African Americans photographed between 1895 and 1925.
You look at them presenting themselves with such dignity, with such self-possession, and they look so good, and they're wearing such nice clothes, and they're so fashionable, that initially when I started working with this collection, I thought, well, this is the black middle class.
In fact, Mason says most of those pictured belong to the working class, like Bill Hurley, a stable hand, coach driver, and jack of all trades.
He's wearing a really nice three-piece suit. He's got the tie on. But what really makes it is the self-confident, almost challenging way that he's looking into the camera's lens. Plus, he's got a cigarette in his mouth and holding a lit match up to the cigarette. This is style. This is panache. This is a kind of swaggering machismo.
And the studio worked with him to create that image, poised with match in hand.
It wasn't actually lit, but in the early 20th century version of photoshopping, they were able to work on the negative itself to make it appear as if the match is lit. And the lit match is, of course, what really gives that photograph its magic.
Then there's Lena Taylor, a beautiful young woman wearing a lacy white blouse and an elegant white hat. Her demeanor gives no hint that she earned a living cooking for wealthy Charlottesville families.
It's not a challenging gaze, but it is full of self-confidence, full of poise, full of depth. People were not defined by their occupation at the bottom of the economic ladder, and they weren't defined by their oppression.
Another photo shows one of the first local ladies to cast a ballot.
Over 100 African-American women in Charlottesville registered to vote. It was extremely hard to do, and African-Americans were voting in small numbers, but nevertheless doing it. And we have the portraits of some of those women who registered to vote right after the ratification of the 19th Amendment.
There's George Ferguson, one of the first black doctors in Central Virginia, and his son, George Jr.
Dr. George Ferguson, the father, is very active in the Republican Party here in Charlottesville, in Virginia, and at the national level. And that was until 1920, when the Republicans essentially threw all their African-American members out.
And the boy would one day head the NAACP in Charlottesville and sue the city to integrate its schools. 100 of these photos, some 10 feet high, are on display at the Special Collections Library at UVA.
They talking about
him? A smaller
him?
number of portraits will soon hit the road. I'm Sandy Houseman.
It's him? Hold on, this is what it's... See, that's the danger of that black stuff, boy. Everybody started talking about they black, man. This is Tether, man. Who is this? And his son had the NAACP, man. Look at his son. Oh, man. See, man. That's what I mean, man. I'm an Indian. I ain't black, nigga. I'm an Indian. I'm an Indian Negro. Don't call me black. Everybody talking about they black, man. See, it's some bullshit. He ain't on these folks. They be disrespecting our ancestors, man. He shouldn't even be up here with our ancestors. Hey, this is the real Naga here. And right here. She fair-skinned. That's still the real Naga. I'm looking at her hair. This though right here, Dr. Ferguson ass.
Tether. 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 Tether.
George Ferguson.
Tether.
First black doctors.
Tether.
See, this is crazy, man. Boy, it's a lot of hijacking going down. A lot of hijacking going down. What's this?
In 2002, Gail Fowler was working with a church group to help an elderly woman turn a shed on her father's farm into a cottage.
So I sent the young people to go up and check the attic.
She got a feather in the hat, Managa.
Down these pictures, and I immediately called a friend to come down with a camera.
The majority of photos are of local African-American men, women, and children. Some are candidly posing outside, some in a studio. But it's the crayon studio portraits that are most striking. They're enlarged to about 16 by 20 inches, then enhanced by an artist. Eyes engage the observer.
It's a crayon technique where instead of looking like a photograph, you would make it look like an old-fashioned oil painting.
Fowler is talking about the Gill brothers. Both farmers, they ran the Gill Picture Company. Marvin canvassed for clients while Zacchaeus Asbury, who had only one leg, was an accomplished artist. Some of the portraits are colorized in pastel, others with charcoal. Most striking is Edwardian fashion. Women don picture hats, lacy collars, and pompadours. Men sport elegant suits and Bowman hats. The portraits tell a tale of two worlds lived by African Americans in the Northern Neck region.
Her hat is stylish. She's got this wonderful feather coming out of the side of it.
That's right! Feather in the hat! That's right! That's right!
She says very little is known about the history of African American fashion.
We, and I'm saying...
Hold on, man. My bad. I got excited, man, about the feather in the hat. Man, I know what I be talking about, nigga.
Women don picture hats, lacy collars, and pompadours. Men sport elegant suits and Bowman hats. The portraits tell a tale of two worlds lived by African Americans in the Northern Neck region.
Her hat is stylish. She's got this wonderful feather coming out of the side of it.
Kathleen Curtis Wilson is a cultural historian whose work in the Appalachian region of Virginia focuses on women's textile traditions and its relationship to community. She says very little is known about the history of African American fashion.
That's right.
We, and I'm saying that because you and I are white, we didn't see them out of servitude. We saw them as housekeepers and maids and cooks in hotels.
You wasn't living back then. You see, she running with the brainwash indoctrination. She running with the brainwash indoctrination. She wasn't even living at the time. What is she talking about? How she saw people. The art from the time is showing you the peasants were the white trash poor from Europe. It wasn't our people. You didn't understand the culture and the tradition. You didn't understand the feather in the hat. You didn't know what it mean. She didn't know. She running with what they telling her today. She ain't seeing for herself with her own eyes. Talking about servants. How you know this lady wasn't just a cook? How you know she just wasn't a master chef getting her coins? You want to insinuate what your brainwashed history done told you, but this don't look like a slave to me. You're not going to put servitude on us. This looks like a woman who was making money. She like she was well-to-do. And so does this gentleman. It's not a slave. It's not a servant. Talking about how you looked at him and you wasn't even living at the time. You running with the fairy tale department that education done gave you. Instead of looking at the facts for yourself. That's what people do. Black individuals. What the fuck that mean? Historically, many enslaved and later black individuals. What does that mean? Worked in tobacco fields, performing artist labor in both cultivation and processing. What that first sentence mean though from the AI overview? Historically, many enslaved and later black individuals. Historically, those many enslaved were the Negroes. They were American Indians. That's why you want to say historically many enslaved, and then later, you just later changed, reclassified them and start calling them blacks. Those historically enslaved individuals were the American Indians. And those same individuals you just reclassified, talking about later and later black individuals. Historically, many enslaved and later black individuals worked in tobacco fields, performing artist labor in both cultivation and processing. This labor was a significant part of the tobacco industry, particularly in the colonial and early American South. Let's see the Indians, and I'm quite sure there'll be some indentured servants on here too. Oh, there go some Indians. One little, two little, three little Indians.
tether, 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 tether.
His ass look creepy as hell
Tether.
back there, man. He look creepy as fuck back there, man. Nelson Charles in the house, salute. They're in, and what are they independent from? What are they talking about? They Independence Day. They Independence Day is your captivity. They became independent. You became captive. But what they become independent of? When they came to Virginia, the first permanent English colony in North America, established in 1617, right? Key aspects: founding and early struggles. A Virginia colony chartered by King James aimed to establish a settlement for economic gain, including finding gold and the passage to the Orient. It's the Orient. This is the so-called Orient, the Indies. See, they keep telling on themselves. The initial settlement at Jamestown faced severe hardships, including disease, blah, 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 tobacco, and right away, tobacco, economic development. All right, look. The colony of Virginia was a British colonial settlement in North America from 1606 to 1776. Nah, so it was a so-called, a British colonized by Britain, right? To 1776. What happened in 1776? All these indentured slaves from England, from Britain. What happened in 1776? We ain't indentured slaves no more. These nigglets the slaves now. We independent. Our independence is their captivity. The Declaration of Independence adopted July 4, 1776. We are done with Britain. Announced the 13 American colonists' severance from political ties with Great Britain. We is free now. We not white slaves no more. Rock the fireworks.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Pop the fireworks. We ain't white cracker slaves no more. We independent from Britain now.
This shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
Now, these nigglets the slaves. We're gonna lie and say we brought them here in 1619.
You big dummy. Now who sent you, nigga?
Even though we've been depicted them in Europe in 1617, we don't give a damn. These nigglets dumb.
You big dummy.
Their independence is your captivity, Managa. I hope you ain't out there popping the fireworks and carrying on. Hey man, I'm Blackjack, man. It's House of Cons, man. I always remember who the real Virginia is, who the real people of the Virgin Land is. Always remember, never forget, Managa. Hey, we out. Salute.